Welcome to The Explainer. Ever stop and think about what happens if you get sick, have an accident, or decide to start a family here in Taiwan? What's the safety net? Well, there's a massive system that covers millions of us, and today we're going to break down the most important first step, how you get covered by the Labor Insurance Act. I mean, seriously, think about it. Life throws all sorts of things our way, right? An unexpected sickness, a sudden injury, the amazing moment you have a kid, or just, planning for the future. We all need some kind of backstop. So how does a whole society handle these big life events? In Taiwan, a huge piece of that puzzle is labor insurance. Okay, so let's dive right in. What exactly is this system, and what's the big idea behind it all?
Okay, so at its heart, labor insurance is basically a giant government-run group insurance plan. Think of it like a massive national piggy bank. We workers chip in a little, our employers chip in a bunch, and the government throws some in too. All that money goes into a big fund managed by the Bureau of Labor Insurance so that it's there for us when we actually need it.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the basics, then get into who absolutely has to be in the system. We'll cover the exceptions, follow the money to see how it's paid for, and wrap up with the most important part, knowing your rights.
All right, this is probably the biggest question on your mind. Does this actually apply to me? To make this super clear, we're going to follow a character named Lynn as she starts her career journey.
So say hello to Lynn. She's just landed her first full-time gig at a cool little company. There are 10 people on the team. So is her new boss legally required to sign her up for labor insurance? Well, it all comes down to this one magic number, 5. The law is crystal clear on this. If a company has 5 or more employees, they must enroll their workers in the labor insurance program. It's not a suggestion, it's not optional, it is a legal requirement. Yep, Article 6 spells it all out. This rule applies to any worker between the ages of 15 and 65. And while we mostly think about office jobs like Lynn's, it actually covers a ton of other people too. Folks working on farms, in fisheries, even people in vocational training. But for most of us, that 5 or more employees rule is the one to remember. Now, this is huge, and you absolutely need to know this. The law is super specific about when this has to happen. Your employer has to get you enrolled on your very first day of work. Not a week later, not after a probation period. The day you start. That means Lynn's safety net is up and running from the moment she walks in the door. But let's be real. Careers aren't always so simple. So what happens when Lynn's path takes a little twist? Let's look at a scenario that isn't quite so cut and dry. So a few years go by, and Lynn decides to join a tiny startup. It's a super exciting opportunity, but it's a really small team, just her and the 2 founders. So the company has fewer than 5 employees. Does that mean her new boss is off the hook? This is a really important point that confuses a lot of people, so let's break it down. On the left, you've got that mandatory rule we just talked about, 5 or more employees, it's a legal obligation. But on the right, Article 8 covers the little guys. For companies with less than 5 people, it's not required, but they can choose to join voluntarily. Honestly, for a small company, offering this is a pretty great perk. Okay, but what about the gig economy? What if you're a freelancer, a designer, or a delivery driver? Don't worry, the law has thought of you too. If you're self-employed, you can get covered by joining a professional or trade union that's related to your work. The union basically acts as your employer just for the insurance paperwork. Okay, so we've figured out who's covered. Now for the million-dollar question. How does the money work? Let's follow the cash and see how this whole system is actually funded. First, we've got to get this key term down, monthly insurable salary. Now, this might not be your exact take-home pay. It's a number that's based on an official government chart of salary levels or brackets. All the payment calculations are based on a percentage of this official number. And this chart makes it really easy to see how the cost is shared. As the employee, you pay that little 20% slice. The government chips in 10%, but look at that big piece of the pie. Your employer pays 70%. The system is designed this way on purpose, to put most of the responsibility on the employer and keep it affordable for you. But here's a super important detail. The insurance is actually 2 parts. There's ordinary insurance for stuff like sickness or retirement, but then there's occupational hazard insurance, which is specifically for work-related injuries. For that part, the part that covers you if you get hurt on the job, your employer pays 100% of the cost, all of it. So now you know how it all works. But what if it doesn't?
What if someone isn't following the rules? This is where knowing your rights becomes your superpower.
And trust me, the law has some serious teeth. Article 72 is not messing around. It hits non-compliant employers with a 1-2 punch. First, they get slammed with a fine that's 4 times what they should have paid. But it doesn't stop there. If you, the employee, lose out on any benefits because they failed to enroll you, they are legally on the hook to pay you back for every single dollar you lost. All right, let's do a super quick recap of the absolute must-knows. Number 1, company with 5 or more people, insurance is mandatory. 2, they have to enroll you on day 1. 3, if you're a freelancer, a union is your way in. 4, your employer pays the lion's share, 70%. And 5, the penalties for bosses who don't follow these rules are no joke.
So now you know how you get into the system, and you know how it all gets paid for. You're officially covered. But that brings us to the biggest question of all, doesn't it? What are you actually covered for? We're going to break down all of the benefits from maternity leave to retirement in part 2.